Hello, my name is Nate. Welcome to my art channel and welcome to my Art Lab collab. Every month I challenge my Patreon group called Nate's Art Lab on patreon.com to a new challenge, hopefully to teach people how to get comfortable with different techniques, different color palettes. We do themes. It's always usually very creative and they knock it out of the park every month. And I love, this is my favorite video of the month. I can't wait to see what everybody's done. I have some sneak peeks and I'm super excited. The challenge that I set for everyone this month is my favorite thing to do, which is experiment. In fact, I'm teaching an experiment workshop at the next Fluid Art Experience Conference in Dallas, Texas, March 14th to the 16th. If you don't have your tickets yet, what are you waiting for? We're a month away. I have, for my workshop, I've developed a process for how I experiment to achieve maximum learning and best results. So there's an 11-step process of all the things that I consider when I'm designing an experiment. For my collab, I gave the Patreons just a couple of very simple rules. The first one was to choose a technique that they are very comfortable with, something that they know how to do, and then they needed to change one thing. Only make one change, but it had to be something they had never done before. It could be something that they've seen other people do, but it had to be something new to them, that one change. I also suggested that they keep their color palette limited. By limiting the color palette, you can see how the different paints react to each other without creating a whole bunch of busyness with 19 different colors competing with each other for attention. So, and also, when you're experimenting, the first thing you need to do is release your fear of failure, because the point of experimenting is to learn. So you have to be willing to make something ugly. It's not a judgment on your ability to paint or your skill as an artist. You have to release that fear of failure. Be fearless and learn something new. So sometimes the result is it didn't work, and that is okay. Human beings learn from failure and from doing things that are unexpected and troubleshooting and figuring out what to do better next time. So don't worry if it didn't work. That is sometimes the best thing that can happen for you when you're experimenting. Okay, so I'm going a little rogue. I told all of my Patreons to choose a technique that they're very comfortable with, but I'm going to do something completely new that I've never tried before at all. And this is why I'm so excited, because I've been saving this experiment for months just for this collab. So I thought it would be interesting for you to see what it's like to try something that you've never done and experiment with it. And so I have this previously used canvas. It's a 24 by 36 inch canvas. It is one of my favorite sizes to paint on. And when I experiment, I always try and use a size that I'm comfortable with and familiar with. I use colors and paint brands that I'm familiar with, but then I try and use them in different ways. So we just finished construction on our house, and we had some leftover PVC tubes. And while the crew was still here, I said, could you split one of these tubes in half for me and then drill some holes along one line? It's not exactly perfect, but it's pretty close. Oh, hello, Studio Kitty. You're about to get paint splattered all over you. Yeah, it's not exactly in a line. If I continue with this kind of experiment phase, I will create a new one that is a little bit better, or maybe I'll create one where it intentionally zigzags. Ooh, that might be cool. Every experiment leads to more ideas. Anyway, okay, so my idea here is to create a pattern. I love to create patterns. If you've seen my videos on the herringbone Rex or my pinwheel swipes, I really love creating patterns. So my idea for this is to do a ribbon pour down the center here with 4 different colors, which I'll show you in just a moment, and allow them to drip through here and hit the canvas and stack on top of each other. I know from experience that if you do multiple ring pours or multiple straight pours right next to each other, they become flat in the middle and then they're round on the outside edges. So I think with all of these little round holes here, when it hits the canvas, it will do a little kind of ring pour shape, maybe a straight pour shape, but it will be round until they start meeting up against each other, and then they're going to elongate this way. So I think it's going to create a really interesting pattern. But the first thing I'll do before I do that, you can see I have it on my spinner because I also spin my paintings more often than I tilt. I went back and forth. Should I tilt this? Should I spin it? But I spin more than I tilt. So I'm going to go with what I'm most familiar with and reduce the amount of variables in my results. Okay, so let's talk about colors. So I am using, oh gosh, what's it called? Oh yeah, Creative Inspirations Payne's Gray as my base coat color. I could do this without a base coat, but I think it will spin out better if I have a base coat and some flow extender handy. So I'm going to put some on the outside edges here and then a big strip in the middle. And then I will save some if I need to add some more at the end. And then in the tube, I have 4 colors. I think this is the ideal kind of color palette for an experimentation because I have Amsterdam Titanium White, which is a very high density color, so it tends to sink through other paints, but it also, with darker colors, lightens them and gives you different color variations, and it's neutral, so you can use it with any kind of color palette. I also have some Amsterdam Greenish Blue, which is one of my favorite colors. I'm very familiar with how it works with other colors, and it is transparent. And then I have another semi-transparent paint. This is Golden's Heavy Body Cobalt Violet Blue, or Cobalt Violet Hue. I've used this paint before, but not a lot, but I know that it plays really well with these 3 colors. And the last color, which is DecoArt Extreme Sheen 24 Karat Gold. This is also semi-transparent, but because it's a metallic and because of that brand, I know that this is a cell maker. If I layer this and this in between these 2 colors, I usually get cells. So this is an ideal kind of color palette. Opaque, transparent, semi-transparent, and metallic. So I think this is this is going to teach me a lot about not just what kind of pattern I can make, but also how the different densities and transparencies will affect the pour. So after I put my base coat down, I will tape this to my little cups that I have here on the side. It's about not quite 10 or 2 inches from the surface of the canvas. So I might get some drips, but I might also get little ring pours. We'll see how it flows out. Oh, consistency. I also like to use a medium consistency on the first time that I'm trying something brand new. This leaves a mound on a mound on a mound, but it does sink back into itself. So it leaves about a 3-second trace when drizzled off with a stir stick. I'm doing something that I don't normally do when I'm painting during the day, and I have the air conditioner on because it's a hot day here in Costa Rica. I know most of North America is in their winter. I apologize if you're cold right now, but I'm very warm because this is our summer. Okay, so I think I'm ready to stop talking and let's start playing. I'm gonna put some music on for you and let's get going.
this was so much fun, and I learned a lot through this. Okay, so troubleshooting, which is one of the things we're going to talk about in the experimentation class, is that the first thing you do when you troubleshoot is you identify the things you like best first. So we start with the positives. So the colors, perfect. Love the colors. I love the way they blended. I got big, huge boulder cells throughout. There's some really interesting structures in here. I love these lines coming up like this. I really, really like that. I love the way that it was kind of fanning out on the outside edges, but very tight in the center. And I think I got an interesting composition. It's not quite the pattern I was looking for, but it is very structured, and I like that. And I'm glad that I went off the one edge, but left the rest all on the canvas, like on the bottom down here, leaving that negative space below. But bringing it off the top, I love that. I'm glad I didn't go all the way off both sides. Things I learned. Okay, so I think I used a medium consistency. If I continue with this experiment, I will change my consistency to be a little thinner. As it was dripping out, let me find a couple of areas. See this little spot right here? That little like nub that comes up? It was dripping off in weird ways. There's a couple of like right in here also. It's kind of cool, but I'd like to minimize that if I can. And I think if I use a thinner consistency, it will flow out of the tube a little better. I'm not sure, I won't know until I edit this video, whether you could see that I was using my thumb to move the paint in the tube back down the holes, because a lot of it was sitting just on the tube itself. So I think next time I'm going to use a smaller tube, so there's not as much room in between. Maybe put the holes a little closer together. We'll see. It was also maybe a little too high. I'm going to try and get a little closer to the canvas next time, but I got some really, really cool, fun things. I also learned that I went too far over to the edge. I can bring the composition over by spinning or tilting. I don't need to go so far to the edge with my pattern. And it did not stretch out very well in the center here. So it's left some little ridges. I'll try and smooth that out a little better with my palette knife here in a moment. But that may dry with some texture, we'll see. So I think next time I do this, if I do this again, I will put a full base coat down so that I don't end up with these little swipes from my spatula. I don't necessarily, the texture might not be bad, but I don't necessarily want that. I want a clean surface. So I'm going to call this a success as far as an experiment. It has taught me a lot, and it has given me something that I think is interesting and has given me lots more ideas, which I love. I will have to paint the sides and edges also. But if you'd like to see me do more, follow this experiment train around and see what else we can do with this, let me know in the comments. But first, let's see how this dries. Okay, so does anybody else see oysters? I really actually quite love this. I think it's super cool. And I think this technique has lots of potential. I was counting the holes in the drip tube that I was using. I gotta come up with a different name with that. That sounds so medical, but if you have an idea of what I can call that, let me know. But I was counting the holes. There were 19 holes that I poured through, and there's only 9 pores left on here, which tells me that I lost a lot from each side, which is why it wasn't going up and down. And that was from the spinning. It makes sense. You lose less here, but the further out from the center you go, the more centrifugal force there is, and the more surface tension. So the surface tension pulled it this way rather than out this way. So I've learned that even though I'm very comfortable with spinning and I know it really well, I didn't know it as well as I thought. So next time, if I want to do it exactly the same way, I need to tilt up and down this way first and then spin it if I want more coverage. But you know what? I'm kind of loving how that Payne's gray dried with that dark negative space. I think that really shows off the colors and the funky shapes that we got. I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope this inspired you to go out and play, give yourself the freedom to make some mistakes and teach yourself how to find your own unique style. And in the next few moments, you're going to see some pictures from my art lab members that don't have YouTube channels. So I've included their photos and their experiments at the end of this video. And then if you check the video description, there is an entire playlist of everybody else in the art lab who does have YouTube channels, and you'll be able to see their experiments as well. I can't wait to show you what we've all been playing with. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and go mix up some paints and be fearless.
What's your story? What's your sign? It's like we're twin flames in a different life. Deep connection lights a spark. It's like you know me in the depths of my heart. We're dreamers. Don't care what other people say. We live it like this could be our final day. We're dreamers. Don't care what the others say. We're doing this in our way. We come alive in the nighttime. It's something about how we dance in the moonlight. That look in your eyes, it tells me that you want me and all my loving. We come alive in the nighttime. You and I, we come alive. We come alive. We come alive. What's your weakness? What's your type? Somehow